welcome to part 16. Well, thank you for staying with me this far. We're getting towards the end now, and this is where we must not rush. If we rush, we will break something like I did last night. Broke the horn. I like to call them a noggin because it's made of wood and I made it with my own hands, but it's actually a horn. Anyway, so this is how I'm connecting everything. I'm putting a little bit of tape on the bottom here between the aileron and the wing, and the same again here, so they're both in the same position. That's quite important. Make sure they're in a neutral position. Then I get my Sharpie and I get my push rod. I've made a zegged bend into the top here, so that won't come out. It's semi-permanently in. I get my Sharpie and I line up the wire with the hole. Now, I may not get this right first time. That's what you've got to realise. You may not get it right first time, but there's nothing like hoping, and because I'm on camera it won't, so sod's law. So then I mark where the hole lines up and I go this side of the line, not this side of the line. Okay, and then I take this out again very, very carefully because I'm a little bit tired of making these things. That's it, it comes out. Now, let me just check my camera because last time I did this it all went out of focus. Okay, so you may not be able to see that. There's a little black mark there. So what I'm going to do, leave about ½ an inch. And guess what? Because I'm doing it on camera, the good half flew away, hit the window and went under the bench. Yes, you couldn't make it up. So I'm going to turn off the camera and go and retrieve it. Thank you for your patience. Well, I found it. While I was looking for it, guess what I found? Yes, I had to make a new one of these and I found it under the bench. I don't know how it got there, but anyway, there you go. Stick it in a container so I can lose it again. So you got to laugh, haven't you, really? You know, it's all part of life's rich tapestry. But you know, I'm being honest about it. This is part of all this is to show you what mistakes I make. You know, you've seen a lot of these people on YouTube, and they make a fantastic job of things, and fair play to them. They don't show you how they did it, and they don't show you their muck-ups. So you learn nothing from them. All you do learn or gain from them is what the end product can be. But you don't know what tools they have. You don't know the background. You don't know that there might be, you know, space shuttle engineers, and this is what they do as a hobby, and they've got a full garage full of lathes and goodness knows what else, and cutting things out, you know, with lasers and stuff, and there's you in your shed with your pliers trying to do the same thing, and quite rightly. But isn't it better to learn from other people's mistakes and how they do it, and having a sense of humour if you could manage it? Anyway, look, so there's the wire. I don't know if that's in focus or not, but there's a little black mark. You probably can't see it. I can see it just about, and that's with my glasses on. So what you got to do is remember that this is at 90 degrees, so you want to get that as flat as possible. That's not really the right word. I can't think what the right word is, but to show you is better than to talk you through it. So I go up to the black mark with my fine nose pliers, and I just go underneath that mark. I twist this end around so both ends are facing that way because it's just easier in the final product. And when I'm happy that that is more or less level, bend it like that. That's all you got to do. apart from pliers, you don't need any special tools, and I wouldn't say pliers are particularly special unless you haven't got them, and you end up with that. Now I can see they're not quite in line, so what I'm going to do is put one pair like that and one pair like that. Come on, I know you want to, that's it. Now just double check it which one I'm bent. Okay, I'm bending it clockwise, so there you go, just bend it like that. Perfect. So they're both pointing in the same direction. Then I'm going to offer it up. Come over here a little bit, you might be able to see better. Probably not. Anyway, so then I'm going to offer this in carefully, because I'm tired of making these horns. I like to call noggins because I made them from by hand. Bespoke is the word. Bespoke. That takes a little bit of waggling around because it's got a zip bend on it. There you go. Now bring that round there like that. Go into the little hole, the other end. Hopefully it's the right size. Oh, don't test me. You were the right size last night. That sounds bad, doesn't it? There's my other piece of wire. It may be a little bit of glue in there or something. Poke the wire through, which is the same size. Ah, yeah, I think it's just a little bit of glue's got in there. So let's see if I can. Come along now. There you go. Twist it around a little bit. No, it doesn't want to do it. Plus you'll run the drill through it. There's a little hand drill you can buy. They're not expensive, but you do need the smaller type drills. Go like -1 millimeter. So you know, I don't know, 0.75, 0.50, so that's half a millimeter, etc. So they're pretty small. And a little hand drill like this. And what you got to do, just run it through, and you just twist it by hand. You don't want to be using an electric drill or a battery drill or anything, and you haven't really got to put any real pressure on it, and it just, there you go, it's popped through. It opens it up. But I think what's happened there is, when I was putting the epoxy glue in, it's just bunged up the hole a little bit. So there we go, we put that L-shaped bend in there like that, and that fits in. Okay, you see that? Does that make any sense? Yeah. Then we get the easy clamp. Now this is where it can get a little bit fiddly. These will fly out your hand because they're small, and I'm old and I'm big. So a little wee person to do this for you, perhaps, I don't know. The wife has dainty hands, and that goes on like that, and hopefully that will clip in. Now sometimes these go straight in, and sometimes they don't. It's just a bit of pot luck really, and I'm just going to grab my tweezer so I can just grab it without putting my great big fingers through something and breaking it. Or should I? I don't know. But it can be a bit fiddly. Right, so get that lined up. You probably can't see very well, my hands are probably in the way. But squeeze that together. Oh, nearly. Oh, I so closely had that. Right, now what I'm going to do, while that's in place, is using my pliers and squeeze it together. Hopefully that will snap in. I think it's got it. Yeah, it's got it. Okay, so that's what you end up with. I hope you can see that okay. Yeah, and then it's got a bit off angle, that is, isn't it? You take your masking tape off, or a tape with a low stickiness, if I want a better words, tactility or something. I'll have to go and look up the thesaurus. Anyway, take the tape off there. Okay, you'll notice it's moved slightly, which is okay, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's moved slightly in unison, and that's what you want. As long as you've got this all in unison. I don't always like moving the, it probably, now that rod probably could be let's say a millimetre longer, which is not a difficult thing to do. Just redo it and just make it a millimetre longer. This is not as difficult as it may seem. It's just easier when lots of people out there in internet world are not looking at you. So if it's too long, you got loads more left, you just make another one. They're not difficult to do. I've shown you broadly how to do it. So that's what you got to do. So what we can do, I'll just put you over here and I'll turn on my radio. So just for demonstration purposes, I'll put a few things away here. Things off there, you don't want things punching the skin, but obviously, well, you can find them again. Okay, there we are. There we go. And the battery, this is what I prepared earlier. And we can plug the battery in. I'm going to make it comfortable for myself, not so much for your viewing. Let's grab the end of the battery there. Plug that in. Nice. I'll just leave it like that for a minute. So we grab our radio and see if everything's working. Now let's try the motor. Yeah, you can hear that. Obviously I've not put a propeller on it. That would be a bit stupid. You don't put the propeller on until the end. Okay, so let's try the elevators. That's up, and that's just correct. Down, that's correct. Plenty of movement. The rudder, yeah, right and left. Plenty of movement. That's not interfering with the elevators. No, it's not interfering at all. So you've got all that movement going on. Now, here's the big test. Look at that. Now, please remember, I've not glued in the hinges. So they're not going to work 100% how you want them to work, because I don't glue them in till the very death. Alright, so let's put that in there. So, yeah, there you go. So they're moving in opposite directions, and there's lots of throw. That is too much throw. You're going to have to use the rates on there. And there's something going on this end, which is just going to be adjustments. Okay, so there you are. It works. So just a case of final adjustments there, gluing in the hinges, and then tucking the battery in and make sure it's fully charged, and popping the lid on. And I'm going to put the exhausts on as well. The exhausts I did last night, they've dried now. With these exhausts here, you're supposed to put little tubes, I think 4, 1 at the front, back 2 in the middle, to give it a more realistic look. What's the point? I just glue them on the end there. These, there was no dowel in the box, so they had some square dowel. That was round, but I couldn't think of the right word. So I just shaved it off and made it round and look like a dowel. So I will just be getting some glue. I haven't even offered these up yet, but it goes something like that. okay, and you just glue them on, which I will do a little bit later. I just want to finalise these ailerons and make sure they're running okay, and if necessary I'll show you why and what I did. So there we are just for that now. So let me have a little bit of a tinker and I'll come straight back to you. Alright. Okay, so now the final test of the ailerons. I've now glued them in. I was having a problem. It turned out the problem was they were so closely fitted I had to get a bit of P800 and smooth it out. It was slightly catching. So now they're completely free moving, so they're all going up and down and everything. So yeah, so as far as I'm concerned, that's done. It's okay. So there you are, one last show. It's all working. So now it's just, I'm going to put the exhaust stacks on and whatever else I've not thought of mentioning earlier. Okay, so we're just about there. The exhaust stacks are on. It was just a case of just gluing it on. There's nothing complicated about it. They're on. The propeller's on. Now what I'm using there is a 6x5 prop. I wanted to use a 6x3, but that's all I could get. I'm struggling to get what I can get. So now we are at the putting on the decals. Yeah, I'm not going to put all these decals. I'm just going to make it basic stuff. The roundels and the rudder and the one that goes on the side of the fuzz there. Now the thing is with putting decals on, if you're making a plastic model, a static model, you know, you have the choice of using a product called Micro Set. Comes in a little glass bottle and it's very good for that. But I found using these type of decals on this type of surface, using Micro Set, doesn't work particularly well. So what I'm going to try is a product called Decal Fix by Humbrol. I've not used this before, and I went onto YouTube to see if there's anybody on there who's ever used it, and there is. And what they're saying is that you cover the surface, you brush that on, and you leave it for about an hour or so. You take the decal, you put it into a saucepan. What am I talking about? What are they called? You put cups on top of them. Little round dish. You soak them for about an hour in a little round dish. You take it out and you put it on, and then you brush some more on. You leave it for 12 hours, and it slowly forms onto the wing, which I'm not going to make a video about because I think that would be literally watching glue dry, and it's just not practical, is it? You know, who's going to do that with a stop frame camera and all this malarkey? So yeah, there where we are. So that's that with that. Now centre of gravity. Now I don't know whether you can see that where I put the spots in. That's the centre of gravity. Now what I do, I just put my finger on there, my other finger on there, and that is slightly nose heavy, ever so slightly nose heavy, mainly because I put the battery quite far forward. So I've had to put no weight into this at all, no lead, no clay, putty, I don't know, whatever people use and stuff. There's no weight in there. Normally I use a lead weight, but there's nothing in there at all. So the only extra weight is things like the battery, the control gear, the motor, the pilot, the extra glue, you know, the servos and stuff like that. So considering all that, that has come out quite good. I have to admit, I'm quite pleased with that. So I'm confident that that will fly. Now, normally I go on about balancing props, but I have made videos in the past about balancing props, and I've made videos where I show you how to set up the radio. Go and see some of my other videos. I'll show you how to do all that. So you got a good grounding. So this leads me now. We're getting towards the end now, so I'm just going to put this to one side for a second, and bear with me just for a minute or so. What I want to do is show you this. Okay, what have you got here? Well, if I get enough comments and enough likes, this could be the next project. It seems to be flavour of the month at the moment. I actually chose this, it was just pure coincidence, but Tim the Playman's making one. Cliff Harvey is making one. And this is the Fucker DR one, the red Barron. And this is from the Vintage Model Company. If you want me to, if I get enough people say, yes, I will do a review of this model and I will do a build on this model. But I want enough people to say, yeah, I want you to do it, because the spring's coming up. I want to go flying. I want to cut my ornamental lawn and make it nice and wonderful. But I will be doing this, but do I really want to do this on camera? Only if I got enough people asking me to do it. So what I've done is I've gone out, I've got some Aura cover, Aura light. This is Aura light, and this is Ferrari red. Okay, Ferrari red in Aura light. And if you want me to, oh, that's my receiver, so everything's there to do the build. If you want me to do a review and a video on this one, then like and subscribe, and if I get enough people say yeah, do it, I'll do it. It may be a little while because I do want to go flying. The weather, this is the United Kingdom. I live in the West Midlands, which is the centre of the country for those people who don't know, and it's been hellish windy. I can't fly this Guillows SE5a in a wind more than about 6 miles an hour. I need a really still calm day to do that, or fly it indoors, and we just don't have things that big here. I know in America and Canada they've got these huge stadiums, and you know, we don't have that here. Even Wembley's not that big. So as soon as I get the opportunity, I will fly the Guillows and we'll see how it reacts. Might end up in a bin bag. So all I want to say now is that thank you for watching. I hope you've learnt something from my mistakes. With me it's warts and all. I'm very much a stick and rudder man. I don't like to put all these electronics in. I don't like to put Expo in particularly. If you want to know what Expo is, and Cliff Harvey mentioned this to me. Hello Cliff, by the way. Expo is when you move this control, okay, it has degrees of movement. So unless you particularly want something to do a hard bank, you have to go like this and like that, and it smooths out the movement of the controls on the model itself. Now for me, with this model, I'm only going to apply rates, and what rates means is, you say for the elevator here, that's on 0 rates. So click that, I will put it down to 50% rates, which means that when you move your up and your down, or your left and right the rudder, it only moves as much as you want it to, and it won't move any further. So I want a movement of 6mm on the elevator or the rudder or the ailerons. Okay, so even if I went full whack like that, it wouldn't go any more than 6mm. And that's just to stop you overreacting to whatever it's doing in the sky, because sometimes you get a little gust of wind, you can't feel it on the ground, but it's up in the air, or a bird is just about to fly into you and you go, oh, you panic, you put it over. Instead of the models just sort of go like this, it's sort of like, yeah, okay, I get it, you know, and it moves and doesn't do anything mad or mental. I would usually 9 times out of 10 put rates on a model, but I wouldn't always necessarily put expo on. Now, if I've got a model, I've got several models actually that are really very fast. So they're going faster than 60 miles an hour, some go 120 miles an hour. Yeah, I would put expo in. I'd be mental not to, because they are going such a speed. You don't always have that reaction time unless you're one of these kids that have been brought up on models and the parents got lots of money to throw at it. And, you know, you're an older gentleman like myself, and you're thinking, okay, this is going like 80 miles an hour and I want to bank left and up. Yeah. Well, that tiny bit of movement will make that model go whew, sudden. It's very, very quick. And what this does, it slows you down. It goes, oh, all right, and I'll do that, you know. Whereas if you didn't have expo on it, it would just go whoosh, you would lose control over it. It would just spin into the ground. And that's why we have expo. I don't see any reason to use expo on a model that's probably going to do 5 miles an hour at best with the wind behind it. And like I said, I'm very much a stick and rudder man. You know, there's even some guys I know that don't use expo or rates. They just do it totally off feeling, off the sticks. So yeah, use rates. I've shown that how to put rates in previous videos. So yeah, but that's what expo is. And I've only mentioned expo because Cliff Harvey wanted me to do it. I'm not going to put it on the Guillows. It just doesn't warrant it. But if you've got a jet fighter, you know, I can't think of the name of the model right now, but the really, really fast stuff, yeah, or a helicopter, I'd definitely put it on a helicopter or something like that. Drones, I'm not really into drones. They just go up, down, back, sideways with the camera on it, and you know. What do you want a drone for? It's like buying a model car. Put this petrol engine in a model car and it goes vroom, hits a blade of grass and turns over, and then you got to walk up to it and put it back. 2-dimensional. No. Anyway, I'm sorry if that hurts somebody's feelings. Anyway, so I'm going to come to the end of it now, and I'll just say, look, you know, thank you for bearing with me. Thank you for putting up with my marginal sense of humour. Please learn something from it, and I hope that you do. And you know, and I think if I was going to go with this Guillows again, which I might do, I might build exactly the same model. I'm not going to put all those stringers in. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a flat sheet all the way from the front to the back, and only use the stringers on the top, because you can't handle it. You're just breaking stringers all the time. It has a bit of rigidity, and at the end of the day, this as I've said all the way through, this is a rubber powered model from the 1950s. It's not designed to have a motor in it. It's not designed to have rudder and elevator, let alone ailerons. It's designed to be very stable, and probably, you know, aiming at the children's market with a few adults who have got a few brain cells who know how to make things properly and make them really fly well. And again, I reiterate, you know, when you see these guys and they're winding it all up and they've got the drill, the hand drill, you know, and they show these great flies. Wow, they made that fly and it's such a nice model. But they don't show you when it's the ones where it's crashed.
you know, and it's all in bits. And I don't show you how they trim it out or anything like that. So to build a Guillows rubber powered, yeah, to sum it all up, if you're going to build a Guillows rubber powered model and turn it into a 4-channel airplane, then basically you're doing it because you're testing yourself. It's a challenge. Can I make this fly like the real thing rather than just having the rubber powered on it? Otherwise, I would suggest you don't embark on it, only if it's just a personal challenge to yourself. And for those people that are online and have made, you know, a P40 and it's got retractable undercarriage and everything else, fantastic, knock yourself out. You know, you deserve a medal. I don't know how you achieved it, but there again, they don't show you how they achieved it because they don't want to show you them failing. So you don't know how many times they've built that model. You don't know how many times the undercarriage stuck or didn't work, or they couldn't figure out how it fitted in, or how many years they spent building it. Some people spend years on these things till they find out how to do it from somebody else, or they bought a lathe and learnt how to use the lathe and turn parts down to make things fit. You know, and then it turns out they've got this great big workshop with laser cutters and lathes and everything else. And there's you with your pair of pliers and your clothesline pegs and your epoxy resin. And you're thinking, well, okay, fair enough. But you haven't got that kind of kit. So I haven't either. So there you are. Here's the Guillows. I've made it into a 4-channel fighter. It's only a case of waiting for the wind to die down. So once that wind's died down, I will make a video. But I don't know when that's going to happen. It's going to have to be a weekend or a late lazy summer evening when I'm not at work. And if that happens, I will post it or fly it and post it. So yeah, I have gone on for quite a while now. You're probably pushing a knife into your chest. So I'm going to end it there. So all I'm going to say is thank you very, very much for following me and for taking on board everything, and I'd really appreciate it if you did press the like button and press the subscribe button and with the bell that says all, and I very much appreciate that. And thank you very, very much for taking the time and trouble to look at my rubbish. Thank you very much. Bye bye. Here we have the end results. The decals are on, looking a lot more as she should do, and that's what you can expect at the end of your endeavours. So thank you for watching. Like and subscribe and press the bell button. Thank you all.